Hey! I'm back with another video because somehow I got a lot of views on the last one and I don't know how that happened, but we'll keep going. And as I said, I'd do Mario Kart 7 Nitro tracks. That's what we're going to do today. So let's go through them. Now I will preface this by saying Mario Kart Wii was one of my favourite games ever. I played it so much as a kid. It's probably one of my most played games ever. So I had a lot of nostalgia for it, which influenced my decisions. And I don't have that for Mario Kart 7. I did have it as a kid. I think I got it pre-owned at a comic book shop. But I didn't play it that much because I had Mario Kart 8 on my Wii U. So I've actually not really played that much of it. So a lot of this is going to be influenced by retro tracks, especially in Mario Kart 8. And sometimes even my first impression playing the track from when I got the footage for the video. So let's start the ranking. Last time when I did the Wii tracks, I didn't give a single F tier. I thought all the tracks were very, very good, and Mario Kart Wii has a very, very good lineup. But I'm not going to be charitable this time. I will probably be giving out some F tiers, and I'm sure about that because let's start with the Mushroom Cup, where Toad Circuit is an F tier track. It is so boring. Like, the track layout itself is incredibly boring. It's just a couple loops, couple relatively easy corners. There's not enough room for chaos. The only cool things about this track are the toad balloons, which I admit are very cool, and the bridge that you fly over, which is also quite cool, but they don't really redeem it. There's nothing to this track. It's Luigi's Circuit without its charm, without the nostalgia, without the music. It's not doing it for me, and I can't believe they remade it in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I'm not mad, but F tier. Next up is Daisy Hills though, and I love Daisy Hills, not because my favourite character is Daisy, as you can see, and I play her in every game, but I think it's a really nice, fun track. The first great thing about it is the change in elevation, like it changes, you go up and down hills all the time. It's very nice, it's very variety in that sense. The vibe is really nice. It reminds me of Amsterdam, or the Netherlands, sort of like Amsterdam Drift in the Booster Tools Pass. The colours are very nice. I like the background of the mountains. The windmills look great. I like the little shortcut you can do to the side as well. So overall, I like the vibes. But it is still lacking a bit. I mean, the houses, the textures, I don't know what more you could add to it. But I'm giving it an A tier, which is quite good. Next is Cheep Lagoon. And I cannot remember what this track is about at all. So, I'm sorry, it's the second F tier of the cup. It's really not looking good. I have nothing to say about this track. It's the first underwater track ever, but I don't care. It's so boring. You could have done so much better opportunities, and we will see later in the video how there are so many good underwater tracks in the game. Why couldn't they have given us a better opening one? Next we have Guy Bazaar, and it's a great track. I'm not quite familiar with the layout as well, so it was a nice surprise playing it, but it's like a precursor to Toad's Harbour in a way that there's a lot of many different paths. You're going through like busy streets. I like the pots that are fake. When you're going through the actual bazaar itself and you can go up the shortcuts, I think it's so fun. It's got a very nice vibe and aesthetic. I can't give it too high because it's missing something and I can't tell what it's missing, but it's an A tier from me. What about the Flower Cup? Well, we start with Wuhu Loop, and Wuhu Loop's a very good track, and it's very enjoyable. The aesthetic's amazing. Obviously, I think it's Wii Sport Resort, I'm not sure. I never played that game as a kid, so I don't have any nostalgia to it. But it's a very nice looking track, nice pathway. I'll give it a B tier. And then we go to Mario Circuit, and you might expect me to say this is a boring track. And it's sort of a boring track, but I love it. It's one of my favourite Mario circuits. I love Peach's Castle, and I love that. I know you're not in it for a long time, but you are in it, and it's very fun to traverse around. The pathway leading up to it with the swirls and the shortcuts in the grass is very fun. Exiting it in a glider is so fun, and even just going inside is cool. And then you have the pipe section, the aesthetic of it in the background. You got the new Super Mario Bros. Background. It's a very pink and green, and it's very summery. And the beginning where you're going through the flower blossom tree area down the side of a lake cliff and all the shortcut possibilities, it's so good. I think it's going to be my first S tier from Mario Circuit track. It's really good. Next is Melody Motorway, or Music Park. I'll call it Melody Motorway because that's what it's called in the version of the game I use, and I'm familiar with it because of Mario Kart 8. To be fair, the Mario Kart 7 track is basically the same. I don't think there's actually any meaningful difference in the retro version in Mario Kart 8, but Melody Motorway is great. I think this is the second S tier because it's a very unique theme. They execute it perfectly, and it is very a fun track to play on. The glider section is really fun with the bouncing notes. The piano sections, it's fantastic. Second S tier. Flower Cup's gearing up to be brilliant, because we now end with Alpine Pass, and this is my third S tier, guys. I'm shocked as well. I think I love this just for how fun it is, because this track wouldn't have been possible before with how open it is, and the glider really adds to it where you can really sense how wide and big the track is. It really feels like it's open and you can go anywhere if you wanted to. I love the pipes that blow air up or to the side, and you can stay in that area. It's like you're in a massive valley. It really gives that vibe of openness. There's so many shortcuts you can do in the grass, and the aesthetic looks great because all the trees just make it look amazing, and even the rock passage and then the cave gives a nice bit of variety. It is a wonderful track, definitely one of my favourites. Even going up the hill at the end, it's a constantly changing atmosphere, and it delivers on all those atmospheres really well. So that is my S tier. I don't know how you'd improve it. Next we go to the Star Cup, and we're starting strong with Piranha Plant Pipeway. Obviously the first thing that comes to mind is the Goomba fake out shortcut you can do with a mushroom at the end, which I failed to do in this clip, but we'll ignore that. This is a water track which is so much better than Cheep Lagoon. I love how you go down the pipe and you're actually underground for a significant portion, and the aesthetic's really good. You could have definitely done this in a previous Mario game, but it really shines in Mario Kart 7. And I think that's because the Piranha Plant's really nice. You can go on the blocks and it looks like it's in the Mario Underground games. And you can avoid it can be colourful as well. And then you get to the proper underwater section where you're actually in a pipe, and then you burst out and then you're in like actual Mario bricks. And the red and the greens and the grey really work together. And I think it looks great. One thing I will say is I think it looks way better in Mario Kart 8 as a retro track. I think it works so much better in that game. But it's a solid A tier for me. Next is Wario Shipyard. And this is the fourth S tier, because Wario Shipyard is one of my favourite tracks ever. And I really, really hope it comes back at some point in a future game, because it's so fun to play on. Again, one thing that Mario Kart 7 does quite well is the colouring. The purple and the brown and the blue of the water and the yellow of the gold. It really makes the track feel lovely, and it's haunting, and the sky. And it's another great underwater track. It's a very unique idea, something you can only do in this game. And it feels run down, which is the point, and it's very fun. There's loads of interactive features with the water blowing and shooting you up, and there's a bunch of shortcuts you can do, a bunch of alternative directions, and I think the aesthetics alone raise it to an S tier, but it's actually really fun to play on as well. Near Bowser City is a track that I don't know how to convey my thoughts on. I love this track aesthetically. The rain makes it amazing. It just looks so good. The soundtrack's good as well. But the vibe of the city at night, and it's raining and thundering, and it's a futuristic city. It looks gorgeous. It's It's probably the best looking track in this game. And it's one of the best looking tracks in Mario Kart 8 as well. Well, I think it's better. I think it was a bit too ambitious for Mario Kart 7. And I think it does improve in Mario Kart 8. I think in Mario Kart 8, on the visuals alone, it'd be an S tier. But I think I'm going to have to go for an A tier here. And another thing that brings it down is the difficulty. I'm not very good at Mario Kart, as you can see. And in both Mario Kart 8 and Mario Kart 7, especially 200cc, it is very hard. And I find myself falling off constantly. I probably fall off this track the most out of any track in Mario Kart 8. More than any of the Rainbow Roads. So that's what brings it down to an A tier. But I do really love the aesthetic. Next we have Maka Wuhu, the free... The not ending track. It goes on like Mount Wario. It's a great track. I'm giving it an A tier. Because... I don't know. It's really fun. And I don't have any connection to Wii Sport Resort. But... it's just a really fun track to play on. I think one thing that brings it down is that you can get it confused with the other one. I often get them confused, but I don't have anything negative to say about it. But actually, no, I'm going to bring it down to B tier. I'm sorry. I don't have anything negative to say, but I don't really have anything positive to say either. It's kind of just a standard mountain track that doesn't do it as well as Alpine Pass. It's fun, especially the bit at the end when you fly down onto like the hot air balloons. But I can't really think of anything memorable from the track, so I think I'm going to stick with a B tier. And finally the Special Cup, and I now notice that when I said I'd be brutal with this game, I underestimated how much better it gets towards the end, because I think the two F tiers we have Cheep, Lagoon and Toad Circuit, I think those are the only two bad tracks in this game. And yeah, that does make it worse than Mario Kart Wii, but there are a lot of bangers in this game. First off, DK Mountain. It's a C tier. It does come back in Mario Kart 8, which is where I played it most. I think where this falls flat is the Donkey Kong aesthetic. I do like the Donkey Kong Country games, but it's not my favourite. It's very brown and green and boring, which I hate to say. I think a Tropical Freeze course, I know the game hadn't come out by this point, but a Tropical Freeze one would have been so much more interesting. It does have some great moments. I think the track layout itself is really fun, and yeah, that's it. I don't like the ending at all when you're with the Tiki Heads and then you fly through two boring alternative paths just in a straight line for a bit. It's quite boring, so C tier. Rosalina's Ice World is next, and I love Rosalina's Ice World. It's a great track. It's the only ice track in this game. That's a Nitro track, of course. And it's really fun. I think the aesthetics improve it, although it is very dull. It's very one colour, which I think is going to make me put it in a B tier. I used to love this track. It used to be way higher. It used to be an S tier for me, but I've kind of realised as it's gone on that it's maybe not that great. And it's a bit like Sherbetland GameCube in Mario Kart 8, where you can go underwater, and I think that track does it better. It's kind of a bit mid, really. I think the name Rosalina's Ice World could live up to something way more fun, and it just doesn't. And I kind of found myself getting bored mid playing it, but the bit where you have to avoid the canyon's fun. Next is Bowser's Castle, and I remember ripping on Bowser's Castle in the Mario Kart Wii video because of how bad the Bowser's Castle was. The Bowser head at the start, I think, does it really good. I think what really elevates this is the shortcuts. The aesthetic shines on Mario Kart 7, the 3DS vibe. I think they do it really well. That being said, I do dislike it sort of after they leave the beginning. I can't really remember what happens, but the underwater bit isn't my favourite, and the barrel, it's just kind of boring, and I don't really like the vibe after a while. So it's a C tier for me, but it is one of the best Bowser Castle tracks ever. I really just don't like the Bowser Castle tracks, I think. And finally we have Rainbow Road, definitely an S tier. I think this is the best track in the game, and it really lives up to the hype. It's the best Rainbow Road of all time. It's my favourite Rainbow Road. So glad it came back in Mario Kart 8. I love that it's not a lap course, it's all in one. And I can't believe it took them this long to do a planets version. I just feel like this is the superior way to enjoy Rainbow Road, where you're on the rings of a planet on the moon, going through rocket ships, the glider really helps because you're really feeling like you're gliding through space. And visually it's probably one of the most distinct, like it's not just a rainbow road, it's very fun. So I think that's where it goes. So thank you for listening to me ramble for another video. I'm glad there was a lot of engagement last time. I'm glad the last video got a lot of views. I hope you guys appreciate the same for this video, but it's fine if you don't. I've been thinking of other videos to do. I want to do one ranking the characters, so I might do that at some point. But also maybe we should do a Mario Kart DS Nitro track or a Mario Kart 8 Nitro track. Both of those are possible for me. The older games are a bit harder, but I should also maybe do a Double Dash. I should also maybe do a Super Circuit or a Super Mario Kart. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm also down to do the retro tracks because I have been avoiding doing those. But I think if I do the retro tracks, I want to try and expand on it a bit and compare them to the original, which I'm not really doing in the Nitro tracks. But yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you have a great day. Bye 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 bye.